within our 1 mile radius, I'm pretty sure. But first we're going to hear from Mount Joy Gift and Thrift. Many of you are probably familiar with Mount Joy Gift and Thrift, but we wanted to share a little bit of what's going on there lately and the global impact that they have. And then after that, we're going to hear from Friends of Donegal, who are mainly the source is kind of from the Donegal School District and reaching out into the community. So thanks for being here. Let's just open with a word of prayer, and then we'll get started. Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to gather here, to think about our 1 mile radius, to think about ministry opportunities that are right here in our backyard. We thank you for each of these ministries, for the ladies who have come to share with us today. We ask that you will just give them your wisdom, give them your grace, and your peace as they come up to share with us. And we ask, again, that you will just plant these seeds in our hearts for whatever you have for each person here today, that they would go away from here knowing what it is that you're prompting them to do in order to support these ministries. We thank you for the good news that we're going to hear today. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, so first I want to welcome Kathy and Lois to come up. And there's 2 mics here, so you don't have to keep passing back and forth.
Hello. Is that on? Yeah. Hello. I'm Kathy Hansen from the Mount Joy Gift and Thrift. I have been at the thrift shop for I think it's been about 17 years. I started off as a volunteer. I was a volunteer for a couple years, and then I became assistant manager with Patty Hostetler. Probably a lot of you know Patty. And then, so I was, volunteer for 2 years. I was assistant manager for 10 years, and now I've been manager for about 7 years. So if I didn't say it, thank you, Amy, for inviting us to share about something that is near and dear to our heart. And so, yes. So Amy, when she asked me to do this, she said it in a text, and she said share it at her church. I'm sorry, I probably keep going in and out. I'll try to keep it here. And I was like, oh, I don't think I want to do that. And then I saw her at a board meeting. Amy is on our board. And I said, I don't know if I want to do that. And she said, well, it's during Sunday school. I said, well, that I think I can do. So here is Lois, and she's going to introduce herself.
I'm Lois Kreider. I started volunteering at the gift shop about 9 years ago with my son, who was probably in, I think, around 3rd grade, and we cashiered together, which is a great thing to do with your child or grandchild. It was, just a really positive experience for both of us. And I started as an employee then about 8 years ago, and I've been the assistant manager for about 5 years. And it really is just a family atmosphere at the shop, which is a big draw for many people.
That is true. And now we thought we would introduce some of our volunteers. I see at least one staff person in here. So I think there's a lot of people at the thrift shop that are from Mount Joy Mennonite. So I thought maybe at this time, if you don't mind, maybe some people could stand up that volunteer or are on staff at the thrift shop. Maybe you could say what you do, and just say something about the thrift shop, maybe something that keeps you coming back, something you like about the thrift shop. So if people want to do that now, that would be great. If you don't want to, that's fine. So who volunteers or is on staff at the thrift shop? Okay, I know. Some people were being shy. There's a lot of people. And there's okay. So maybe we can start with Marv. So Marv, would you like to say what you do at the thrift shop, and maybe just say a couple things about the thrift shop, whether it's what you like or whatever? Come on up. Marv just celebrated his 1-year anniversary at the thrift shop. And to, and to celebrate, he brought us cheesecake. There we go.
Okay, I really enjoy volunteering at the Mount Joy Gift and Thrift. What really excites me also is that the profits from that go to MCC, and so that helps people around the world. On Monday afternoon, I'm a receiver, so I help to unload cars, carry the items inside, and then we sort it by category, the different items, because we get all kinds of things. And the people who donate, they seem to be happy to give their things away. And so it's a fun time. Then on Wednesday morning, I'm a cashier, and I enjoy that also. The people are friendly, the customers, and so it's interesting. Sometimes when I'm entering their items into the cashier, they'll say, "Hey, you're so busy. Get a bag for me, and I'll pack everything for you." And so that's fun also. So it's good to work there. We have a good team, and these two ladies do an excellent job. So yeah.
Okay. Does anyone else want to share about, like, I saw, where's Jim Nolt? I'm going to call him out. Where's Jim? So, Jim, do you want to come here, or you want to just talk?
Hi, I've been volunteering there since I retired about 4 years ago from my other job. Ruth Ann had been involved there for probably 30 years or more. So I kind of had an idea of what goes on there. But I do receiving like Marvin does, and he kind of explained that. One of the things I like to see there is the working together of different people from a number of different church backgrounds. We have quite a variety of people. And then also the people that bring things, you get to meet a lot of people, the community and things, and I appreciate that among many other things. Thanks.
Thanks, Jim. Jim he wore many hats at the thrift shop for a while. He was cashier, receiving person, tested electronics, and he is on the board as well. So, Amy, do you want to say what you do? Amy Benner? Maybe this isn't right that I'm calling people out, but I'm doing it. Amy's actually on staff.
Yes. So I'm the treasurer. I've been that for maybe like 12 years or so, since we moved into our house. So I enjoy doing that. And as far as shopping there, I buy a lot of books, much to my husband's dismay. And I do try to bring them back after I've read them, but I do have quite a lot that I haven't read yet. So if you're interested in reading, that's a great place to pick up books, and you won't incur library fines.
So, James Brubaker, did you want to just stand up and say what you do? You don't have to come down. Do you want?
I don't think I have much to say, but there was about 3 Jims working in there at the same time, so you call Jim, you got everybody. Yeah, I like the idea that when things come in, you got the first pick to buy it. It's a really neat job in there, and to see where the result goes to MCC and helps a lot of people in different areas of the country.
Thank
So my wife does a lot of sewing too, so we've delivered loads of comforters down to MCC, like about 60 at a time, one trip.
Wow.
So that's a big deal there too.
Thank you, James. He works in the receiving room. We do have a lot of gyms there. Lois, did you want to just stand up and say what you do?
So this is not my thing to stand here. That's why when I volunteer, at the Gift and Thrift, which I really enjoy, I'm in the back room also sorting, sorting and pricing things, and my job is very early Monday morning, at least when you're retired, 8 o'clock seems early. And I work with Doris, and we sort and price the curtains and measure them and make sure they're clean as possible. The other benefits, yes, the lending library for free. There's also puzzles you can take home and work at and take back without any charge. We have wonderful managers, and the people we work with are a lot of fun too. And I also like the greater ministry of MCC, and if I have a chance, I love to explain that to customers, not so much because I'm in the back, but, so, thank you for making it available.
Thank you, Lois. Yeah, we do have a lot of fun. I'm sure for people that shop at the thrift shop, you can hear us in the background, and sometimes we have, or hear us in the back room. We'll have to tell people in the back room, like, shh, you have to be good, because it gets kind of silly and lots of laughter, and it gets a little loud sometimes. But yeah, people shopping can tell that we're having fun in the back room. Luella, do you want to just say what you do? Should I bring, or do you want to just stand up and say what you do? And that's, yeah. Oh. Yeah. Luella comes in on Tuesdays with her daughter and her grandson, and they put out housewares. And Luella's husband used to be the board chair. So I'll go this way. I'm not sure if I see too many. Oh, here we have Joanne, our newest person at the thrift shop. She came in for the very first time on Friday. So do you want to stand up and say something, Joanne?
It was a very nice experience. I really enjoyed it. It's a lovely place to work and to help others. Okay, and yes, also the lady training me in different things, she was very nice. Everybody seems to be very easygoing and friendly and helpful, you know what I mean? And, no one's, I'll say, critical or, acting strange. Yeah, I'm not supposed to say that. Everybody's very, very nice. So I really enjoyed it. I really did. Thank you very much for that.
Gary, do you want to say anything? I'm sure you have a lot to say.
Gary Ebersole, I've been on the board for 11 years. I have one more year left. I think it's a
But
great...
who's counting? Who's counting?
Who's counting? It is a great opportunity for people to donate and also for people to buy things at a lower price that they might have not been able to otherwise. And the staff is very friendly. I don't get in there a lot to shop. I will be honest to that. But it's exciting to know that the items that are coming in are they're turning into dollars that are then going overseas. And in that process, there's a lot that happens between there, the camaraderie, even the community service. There are people who donate their time there, maybe not because they wanted to, but because they needed to. And I think what a great experience for them to be able to do that in a setting like the Gift and Thrift, as opposed to cleaning up a road or anything else. So it also provides that great opportunity.
Yeah, the community service, people that come in, so that's a great thing. And I can think of one person that he had a lot of hours to do at the thrift shop, and he finished those hours up a long time ago, and he still continues to come in once a week. So it is great. I didn't miss anybody, right? I kind of quickly scanned over there. I don't think I missed anybody. Oh, yeah. Thelma comes in every Monday as a sorter, so. Okay, so we'll move on, and we thought maybe we would share some, there's lots of numbers that are important to the thrift shop and to MCC. So we thought we would share some important numbers with you. So we'll start it off with a little guessing game. Maybe, does anyone have a good guess about what year the thrift shop opened for the very first time? That was pretty good. That was good. That was not it, but that was good. So it is, here, I'll hold it up. So it's 1977, so that means this year we are celebrating 45 years. So we weren't always at the location that we are now. We were downtown. Some people, some customers, some volunteers talk about how we were in that little store downtown. I can't honestly say I know where that is. So, okay, so the next number?
Our next number is 443,000, which is approximately how much Mount Joy Gift and Thrift donated to MCC last year, which is quite amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and here's, I got the guessing ones. So would anyone care to, is that still working? Okay. Would anyone care to guess how much we've given to MCC since we've opened 45 years ago? So in the beginning, we didn't give as much money, of course. So anyone care to guess? Oh, you were supposed to guess low. So we have given them 6.9 million. 6.9 million. So that is a ton of money, considering I think our prices are fairly reasonable, cheap.
Which leads us to our next number. The average price of a pair of jeans at Mount Joy Gift and Thrift is $375.
Yeah.
So you know we sell a lot
Yeah.
of clothes to reach $400,000.
And it takes a lot of people to process all the stuff, all the donations, and put prices on all the items and put them in the store to make that money. And we have 157 volunteers. Before COVID, we always had like 175. A couple people came, a couple people would leave, but now we're a little down at 157.
Which sounds like a lot of people, but with an operation the size we have, it isn't enough.
It's not quite enough.
So here's another one you can guess. MCC has a network of thrift shops throughout the U.S. and Canada, actually. Does anyone have a guess how many thrift shops are just in the U.S.?
MCC thrift shop.
MCC thrift shops. Yeah. You want to hold it up? We are actually at 41 at this point. From east to west coast. We have some in California also.
There is a lot in Canada, but I'm not sure how many are in Canada, but there's a lot.
There are a lot.
So the total amount of donations from all the U.S. thrift shops in the last year to MCC. So the 41 thrift shops, and this isn't, you can guess, but you don't have to, to MCC, totals in 1 year, 7.6 million. It's all the thrift shops. That's a lot in a year.
And with that, some of the things that MCC uses the money for, just $10 buys fruit and trees for families in Bolivia.
And $20 buys clothing for a child in the Ukraine.
And no matter what part of the world you live in, we all have the same number of hours in our week, which is 168.
Guess where we're going to go with that? So this is our last number, about 3 to 4 hours. So that's about how long a shift is at the thrift shop. So just those 3 hours a week, 3 to 4 hours a week, can make a huge difference to MCC and to the thrift shop. So thank you. We want to say thank you for volunteering. Thank you for shopping and donating. And we're always looking for more volunteers to help in receiving, to run the registers. We have other jobs in the back room, so if you would come in sometime, you could call, you could come in, you could talk to Lois and I, and we'll find the right job for you. So that's it.
Thank you, Kathy and Lois. Thanks for sharing the numbers and for putting some meaning behind them. You know, some of us are numbers people, and some of us are people people. Some of us are a combination. So thanks for that. Some powerful information there. And so I have a quick question. Is 175 volunteers enough? Like, how many would you say you still need? Always just one more, yeah. Yeah, you were still looking at that point. Okay. Right. Okay, well, thank you. And that was part of the reason, honestly, that I thought of inviting them to come here. I know it's a well-known ministry and business in our community, but there's still more help needed, right? And it really is a small time commitment for anyone who feels a nudge in that direction. And I really appreciated being part of it, learning more about the behind the scenes of everything that happens there. So thanks for coming and saying yes to coming here today. So next we're going to hear from Christina and Andy from Friends of Donegal. So welcome to both of you.
Thank you, Amy. We appreciate the ask. And so now we're going to switch it up just a little bit. We're going to go from talking globally and well-known to locally and not so well-known, but we're hoping that after we leave here today, you'll know a little bit more about Friends of Donegal. So thank you for your interest. Just a little show of hands. How many people have ever heard about Friends of Donegal? Oh, we must be reaching at least a critical mass. I will say, Christina and I will tell you a little bit more about ourselves and our tie to the community as we go through our presentation. We have a little PowerPoint. Mr. Tech Guy, can we just give you a thumbs up when we're ready to go to the next screen? Okay, all right, thank you very much. But when I walked into the church, I got such a warm welcome. There were probably immediately 10 people. I couldn't wave fast enough to all the people that I knew. So thank you again for your kind invitation here today. So Christina and I are going to kind of go back and forth. We each have our specific parts we do. We have a little bit of a PowerPoint presentation. And so I'm going to turn it over to her and let her get us kicked off. Thank you.
Okay. Am I on? Okay. So you may remember a couple years ago I was here and talking and raising awareness about some of the things that we are seeing in the school district and in the community. I was a school social worker in Donegal School District for the last 9 years. I'm now a professor at Lancaster Bible College. But around that time that we were raising awareness in the community about homelessness and poverty, at the same time, the Lancaster County Homeless Coalition was also looking to move upstream of their services to help people in school districts meet the needs of homeless families. And that's generally because the Homeless Coalition was only servicing pretty much shelters and really that kind of last resort when people were experiencing homelessness. And in the meantime, here we were in school districts going, we have all these families that are experiencing homelessness. They were living in hotels and motels, doubled up with one another, and there were no resources for them. So what they did, because we were doing that awareness raising and we were out here in the community and talking, what the Lancaster County Homeless Coalition did was they came out to our community and they did a needs assessment. And one of the things that came out of that needs assessment, there were a number of things, but one of them was that we needed to start a student advocate program. And that was because our students communicated to them and said they don't really have anybody to help them to get to adulthood, especially in those teenage years when it's really, really complicated. You can imagine, you know, when you don't have all the resources that you need, how complicated it is to get your license. That requires a doctor's appointment and a trip to the DMV and all these little intricacies that we don't think about, or even getting a job or getting into college. So what was needed was the student advocate program. And at the same time, I was going through my doctoral program, so I decided this was the thing that I was going to take on to develop an intervention in our community. We know that our community is really, of course, from what we've heard here, you're involved, you're charitable, you're compassionate, and you want to find ways to get involved. And so all these times we were talking about, we have these needs, we have these needs, we have these needs, and we didn't really have a way for people to jump in. And this was a way that people could jump in and really do that work of being that person that walks alongside of somebody who is experiencing homelessness. So the Champions for Teens Advocate Program was born. And that program was piloted 2 years ago in the school district. And we had a very small pilot program. And Andy was one of our first one of our first advocates for that program. And really, it was amazing to see the students participate in that program and walk that journey, develop goals with somebody. And we came from the beginning where there was that sort of awkward, they didn't know each other, till the end where, and I'll spoil, I don't know if you say this or I say this, but it always moves me, where a student, the student that Andy was working with turned to them and said, I really think of you as my family. And I don't know if you remember back then, and I've been saying it for years and years, but one of the scriptures that have guided my heart along this path has been Psalms 68, verse 5. He's the father to the fatherless, defender of the widows. He puts the lonely in families. And so really that's been the goal, is how do we create that? So as Andy, worked with me, we kind of connected right away and clicked. We're both pretty high energy, as you might be able to tell. And so we clicked right away, and Andy turned to me and she said, well, how can we help families? Because it was very clear that, we could help this one student, but then there's a whole system above the student with their families, and how do we really make transformational change? Not just, here's a handout or here's something that we want to give you. How do we really change with relationships? And so that really started us talking, and I'll let Andy take over there and tell you kind of what her process was to get the Friends of Donegal up and running.
Thank you, Christina. Can we go to the next slide? So just a little bit about the group as we came together. We've been Friends of Donegal for a little more than a year. We are actually incorporated, and we have our 503C status, so we're really happy about that. But we believe this was a group of people who lived in this community. We believe that our ability to work together, individually, people do really good things, but collectively, when we harness all of that, our knowledge, our experience, our work ethic, etc., we can do wonderful things. And so there are many people, I think you didn't use the statistic, but at one point, there were probably between 80 and 100 kids in the Donegal School District, which is Mountjoy, Marietta, Maytown, who were either couch surfing, living in a car, living with somebody else, a non-relative, or living in a hotel. And so multiply that by other siblings or parents, and and that number's probably low on the reporting scale, because it is it is embarrassing, it is frustrating, it is a challenge for these families, so they may not be reporting all of the folks who are actually homeless, or even the people who have some type of income but they're living below their means. So we're looking at using all of the power of everyone in the community to raise the things for everybody. Go ahead to the next slide. So Christina talked a little bit about the Champion program. You can go ahead and go to the next slide, please. Oh, and that's so we do still meet with our champion. We have him over for holiday meals, and we actually connected with his mother, and so now they really are part of our family, and we don't do meals or get-togethers without calling and saying, hey, or texting, are you guys available? So that was our latest adventure. We have a pool in the backyard, so he was over swimming with us. Okay, next slide. So why do we do what we do? So this is why I do this. I was a nurse administrator for 40 plus years at Lancaster General, and I retired last January. And my husband said, you better figure out what you're gonna do, because if you don't, this is not gonna go well for him. So I quickly hooked up with Christina, and the other piece is I was born and raised in this town. I lived here all of my life. I graduated from Donegal High School in And my brother graduated from here. My parents lived here, and my grandparents had a business right on Main Street. So I have deep roots in this community. So it really made sense to me after meeting with Christina. I prayed about, what am I going to do when I retire? And it all of a sudden, like the light hit after doing the advocacy program, realizing that just a short amount of time spending with a young person was an investment in the future, not just of the child, but of the whole community, and that we could make a difference. This young man went from flunking all of his classes to passing his classes with just a little bit of guidance, which was just really, really cool to see. So the numbers are what they are, the homelessness and those who live in poverty. We don't see it like we do in New York City. So a lot of times people walk around and they're like, what do you mean? There's homeless people in Mount Joy, Marietta, Maytown? I'm here to tell you, yeah. They're very good at kind of blending in, and so you really have to kind of tease that out, but I guarantee you, if you look a little deeper or look a little bit more, you'll be able to figure it out. So what are we doing with Friends of Donegal? We were a group of like-minded people, 7 people that came together, and last May, I interviewed about 40 local community leaders, the mayor, the chief of police, and some of the school folks at the school. And so we decided that we're only as strong as our weakest link, and there were a lot of nonprofits that are out there that are doing really, really good things. We have a food bank and a clothing bank and a furniture bank and counseling services, but there are gap services that are needed based on the results of this community assessment that was done. So we were about being transformational. You can give people stuff, transaction. I give you this and your need is met for right now. What our goal is to be transformational so that you can be life-sustaining or have life-sustaining skills yourself. So that's gap services. That's what we're about. We don't want to duplicate what's already being done, but we want to make what's being done better. One thing that we found out was that the nonprofits, we don't have a mechanism or a way to talk. So while you go out and investigate the food bank and clothing bank and you find out information, now I'm one person who knows what they do. There has to be a way to figure out how we can communicate and interact better. We're very siloed, and so that's one of the goals that Friends of Donegal has taken on, and we're making some progress towards that with a database called Empower Lancaster. I'm not going to talk a lot about that because there's some other things I want to make sure that you hear about us. But that is something that we are very much committed to. You talked about the Bible verse. I think that's, the homeless, the widows, the orphans, we're called to do that. So there is a biblical basis for doing what we can do. We will have the poor and underserved with us for all times. And then the other thing that we're doing is building some programs. And on the next slide or two, I'll talk to you a little bit about outcomes and today and the programs that we're going to be starting in the future. And then I'm going to tell you a little bit about how you can get involved if you'd like to. So the main program that we're offering right now, because we needed to get started, we needed to have some street credibility, we needed to have some success, and we needed to figure out how we're going to start transforming lives. So we started with the Getting Ahead program, which was done by Ruby Payne, who's a PhD, known nationally. It's an evidence-based program, and she knows a lot about homelessness and poverty. And so we use her curriculum. It's investigating your life. It's developing goals. It's developing social capital, which Christina's going to talk a little bit about. It's giving people tool sets that maybe because they have lived in generational poverty, my mom lived like this, my mom's mom's mom lived like this. So it's the things that maybe we don't think about, the skill sets and tools that are in this program, and then people help to develop their own goals. Then as part of an ongoing follow-up, this group meets once a week for 14 weeks, and then they graduate. Some of them have never graduated from high school or other things, and so it is kind of fun to see them actually attend all the classes and graduate. Then we figured out a way to keep in touch with folks on a once-a-month basis, and that's called the Going Ahead program. And so we just had our meeting last week, and we made salsa with tomatoes from our garden and peppers from our garden, and that was a real success. So if you go on Facebook, FOD, Friends of Donegal, there's pictures from our cooking this week. So anyway, back to the classes. We are running our third class now. On the 17th of August, we will graduate probably about our 32nd student, I believe it is. And we probably have about 40% of the people who were in the original class are staying with us in the going ahead classes. Nationally, for the getting ahead class, which is that first 14-week class, they graduate about 40%. We've had 100% graduation rate. Once people commit, they tend to stay committed, which has actually been really, really cool. So you can see a little bit about the statistics up there. Our next program is going to be starting September 14th, so we're actively looking. We have 3 people who are registered right now. Our classes hold about 10. So, and you know, the other thing, we're going to change our focus a little bit. We were looking for families who met the criteria or individuals who met the criteria, but we want this to be a community-wide effort. And so you need to understand what somebody who's living in poverty or homelessness goes through every single day. We need to understand each other. We need to bridge that gap. We need to come around the table. We need to understand what services need to be provided that are not. So we're going to start to encourage any individual who feels like they would like to have more knowledge and be better able to manage the answer to this question: how do we help everybody to be better in the community, to attend the classes? So there is, I have some papers here I'm going to let with Amy that talk about the classes, and the ladies from the Gift and Thrift said that they will also put them in there at their store, so that'll be great. We can continue to get the message out there. Next slide. So we have a graduation. We make a big deal out of it. Tim Bradley has been our keynote speaker for all 3 sessions, and we're going to welcome him again next week, so we're excited about that. Go ahead, next slide. So some of the other programs that we're doing. Emergency Rental Assistance, quickly, is a national program that has given millions of dollars to the local level for people who are potentially going to be evicted or have had their jobs impacted by COVID. Anybody hear of COVID? So, you know, I'll be so glad when we don't have to talk about COVID anymore, you know, as a prerequisite to things happening. But the rental assistance program, we hired somebody. They work out of the DSAA, which is the Drug Alliance office downtown Mount Joy. We don't have physical space, bricks and mortar yet, Friends of Donegal, so we look to our friends to help us with the space issues. And so we have served probably over 70 people now who we've been able to do the application process, which is very cumbersome and complicated, and they've received money. They can receive money in arrears, so if you're 6 months behind in your rent and your utilities, you can get those 6 months paid for so that potentially you're not evicted. Because once you get into the eviction process, then that creates a whole other issue for folks trying to secure housing. Go ahead.
One of the things about that ERAP program is that obviously that takes no money from Friends of Donegal. We don't have that kind of money. It takes people, and it really is us just facilitating a process so that people can access that program, because it requires you to upload 12 documents onto their website. If you're under-resourced, how are you going to upload 12 documents onto their website? Sometimes some of those programs aren't really thought out in that way. All we did was set up a site so that people could access that resource. And it's a little buggy. I won't say it's not, because it's still, you know, a government-run program. But nonetheless, it's something that brought some access to our community here so that people could get that resource.
Thank you for that. So some of the other things that we're doing based on what we've been able to learn about the housing market. So in case you don't know, housing is very tight. Rental properties are very tight. And if you have an eviction situation or you have a poor rental history, that just makes it really difficult. So one of the things that we've done is held a couple of landlord summits, which we've befriended some local landlords, and we're putting a pilot program together that looks at, so what would help you to feel more comfortable, Mr. or Mrs. Landlord, to rent a property to somebody who maybe doesn't have a spotless record. And so we're working through that. So if you are a landlord, or you know a landlord, or you have a rental property, you know, we'd love to talk to you. So that would be a great way to get in contact with us. The other thing that we're talking about doing is, you know, Christina talked about the Adolescent Advocacy program. We have seen that work really well. And so there is no program, model, template out there for an adult mentorship program, and sometimes folks just need help with some decisions. And having somebody come alongside that can support them and help them in the decision-making process, we've seen is a really good thing. And so we're putting to paper some type of an adult mentorship model. So we'll do a little bit more about that. Microfinance, we think that we want to get into microfinancing. It's an accountability model. So I want to start a small business, or I want to buy a car, or I want to, whatever it is. We'll loan you money at a low rate of interest, but you have to pay it back. And so over a period of time, then you develop some credit, and you develop some stability and understanding of the commitment that you need to make in order to do that. So we're anxious. We don't have all the pieces in place with that yet, but we're going to be doing kind of an annual retreat in the next couple of months, and that will be a major focus for us with the microfinancing. So go ahead, next slide. So how can you help? So always the top one is obviously financial. We're on a shoestring budget right now. It seems like every time we need money for something, the Lord provides. It's just incredible. We just had somebody call last week and say, hey, I'm the outgoing president of X association and I have money, discretionary money left, and I'd like to give it to you. And so he came to my house and gave us a check, and then we had somebody else who felt that they liked what we were doing, and they sent us a check. And so when we need money, it seems like the money is always there. The big expense that we have now is for running the Getting Ahead program. We provide childcare, transportation, a meal at the beginning of the program. It's on a Wednesday night from 6 to 8. We found that the meal is just a great way to develop relationships, and that's what it's all about. It's the transformational stuff, and it's the relationship building. That has really helped us with this program. So we need help on all those fronts. We give people gift cards, $25 a week, for coming, because they really dig in and they look at their lives and they figure out, how can I do things better? And they help us to look at our communities, Mount Joy, Marietta, Maytown, and to develop or suggest, here are gaps in the services or programs, and here are the things that maybe we should start. That helps us as Friends of Donegal figure out maybe what our marching orders are going to be over the next year to 18 months to 3 years. So we're thankful for that. We have committees that we're going to be forming, obviously financial committees, fundraising, marketing, program development. So we need people who are really good at program development, have lots of great ideas. We're excited about getting programs started. And then I talked to you already about the landlord piece and data entry. This database that we're doing that will be hopefully a communication piece for a lot of the nonprofits, maybe not just in our area, but Lancaster County, perhaps moving forward, is called Empower Lancaster. And we have information data that will need to go in on probably all 30 of our students who have gone through the Getting Ahead and maybe the ERAP folks. That's about 70. So if you're good at doing data entry and you like that kind of thing, give us a call. Go ahead, next slide. We're coming into the home stretch now.
So social capital is a little obsession of mine. The idea of social capital is that relationships mobilize resources. Somewhere along the way, I think this idea got out here in America that everybody is in it on their own and we have to make it by ourselves. And that the truth of the matter is that nobody gets to where they are by themselves. They have a network of people that are supporting them and coming alongside of them. So a lot of the work that we've done is based on this theory of social capital. It's building relationship. It's who you know. It's that advocacy program where you have people walking alongside, because relationships provide resources. And so as you think about Friends of Donegal, and we just gave you this list of ways that you can get involved, I also want you to think like that is not the cap, that's not the limit. There are other ways that you might be thinking, well, I have this skill, or I have this resource, and how can we harness that and push it out in the community and use it for the betterment of our community? So we kind of see ourselves as a place that is like a clearinghouse, okay? How can we mobilize these people and our resources to create stability in our community? So maybe you have job openings that you want to send our way. We have had success with getting some folks some jobs through our program, because again, once they're connected into our Getting Ahead program, they have a whole network that they're a part of. There's also, you can offer employees comp time for volunteering. Offer presentations at your company. We can come and speak to it as a lunch and learn. Maybe you have a specific skill that you'd like to teach our going ahead class. We've had a banker come, we've had the salsa making. So any of those skills that you want to bring in that we can bring to our class, that would be great. Again, connections, resume writing, mock interviews. The list goes on and on and on. So just because it wasn't said, maybe you're thinking, well, I have this skill, how could I use it? We can use it. So that's really, it's all about that social capital in our community, and we want to harness that for everybody so that we can bring them together. So, is that our last slide?
Nope. There's another one, another slide. So we're going to give you a specific example now. So of the folks who have graduated from our class, Christina suggested it. We've had a couple that have gotten some really good jobs, and they're doing well in their jobs. We've had one young man who helped us develop our website, and now he's so busy. When I call him, he says, "Andy, maybe in a month I can get to your updates on your website," which is really what we want to have happen. We've had people go to who are going to college, and so we'd like to think that in a lot of these things we've had a hand to help them to be able to do that, or at least recognize that they could do it. Part of it's belief in yourself and encouragement. So I'm going to give you a specific request right now. This young man is a part of your church community, and he was in our first Getting Ahead class, and we realized that his vision was to start community gardens in the area so that people could learn how to raise vegetables and buy them or have them less expensively than going to a Giant or a Stauffer's or something like that, and that he would teach people how to use those vegetables. And his goal is to eventually have maybe 5 to 6 sites in the Mount Joy area and then move on to Maytown and to Marietta. And I'm here to say that the first site is up and running at Florence Church of the Brethren. They gave us a 50 by 50 plot, 7 people committed to growing their own fruits and vegetables. Jared oversees those, and the picture on the left is obviously Jared taking care of the garden. The picture on the right is from about a week or so ago. You should see the tomatoes. My whole kitchen table is filled with heirloom tomatoes. I should have brought some along to give out, yeah. But next slide. But he has just done an amazing job. And so not only do we have like 50 tomato plants, but we had cucumbers, and we're making pickles, and we made salsa, last week, and people got to take the salsa along home with them. But it's just the networking, the socialization, the relationship building, and doing things that you would, with mom and dad or siblings or whatever. It's just been really fun. But we're going to make an ask. Amy and I have talked briefly about this. About Mount Joy Mennonite perhaps coming on board and being willing to donate a small plot of ground for Jared to start his second community garden. I got a thumbs up. I have 1 thumbs up here, okay? That sounds good. They got 2 thumbs up. Okay. All right, maybe we'll do some corn and carrots and potatoes and that kind of thing. So yeah, we really appreciate that. I know Jared will. He couldn't be here with us today. He did want to be here, and he was giving us the high five in our presentation. But that is a specific ask. That we're hoping that one day this young man will be able to be self-sustaining, have his own job, and get a truck, get his driver's license, deliver fruits and vegetables to people around the Mount Joy, Marietta, Maytown area. So I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But with our adult mentorship model, we've been able to come around with him, stay there with him, and we're not planning on going anywhere anytime soon. So we'd like to realize that goal with him. I think this is probably the last one. Yep. Okay. So you want to find out more about us, because we didn't tell you. We just kind of, scratched the surface a little bit on Friends of Donegal. So there are kind of three resources. Friendsofdonegal.org is our website, and that website was actually done by Bonnie Mateer's grandson, Caleb. And it's just amazing. And he's the one that's so busy now, I can't even get him to update. He was in the first class, yes. Thank you. I wasn't going to say that, but I'll let you say that. So, friendsofdonegal.org, then FOD, Friends of Donegal, that's our Facebook page. And then Ruby Payne, if you want to just find out more about the curriculum and kind of what Ruby Payne's all about and what we're doing when we have the classes, Ruby Payne's Bridges Out of Poverty. So, that's it. That's who we are. Thank you.
Thank you both. Wow, we just heard a lot. You guys, I mean, both organizations, there's a lot going on. And, you know, something I thought of when you first came up, you said, well, we're going from global to local. But I submit that the seeds being planted, you never know, garden or other kinds of seeds, you never know the impact on someone's life and where they're going to go. If you were here earlier and you all heard Tony sharing about my grandma Gardner, who came to know Jesus at age 88, I am a living, breathing example of a seed planted by my great-grandmother in the lives of our family members, and I have international ministry and travel and planting seeds global, right? So you never know. The people that are being helped, the people serving in the store, I mean, but MCC aside, right? The seeds being planted, we never know. And we were just having a conversation in our family yesterday about planting seeds, and I heard a man share a few years ago about shade trees, and he talked about how, you know, when you plant a seed, how many years later you find there's shade of a tree, that someone can sit under that tree and enjoy that shade because of the seed that was planted so long ago. So, add your tile to the mosaic in the lobby. I added one already and had a specific person in mind that I'm praying for, believing that this person, his life is going to be transformed because of the seeds being planted in his life. He's in India. And it's not my son, Shabassin, in case any of you are wondering. Needs are everywhere, right? And our prayers and our seeds that get planted, they make an impact no matter where we are. So that's my little spiel for, it's not just local. We have a couple minutes here are there any questions for any of these ladies? Anybody have a question that you were wondering could get answered right away here? Crickets. Okay, that's fine. You know how to reach out to them. I'm wondering if some people would join me up here and if we could pray for both of these ministries. If you guys are willing to just come up here, maybe some of us can gather around you and we can all just pray for you in the last couple minutes here. So don't be shy. You guys come up. Some other people, come on up. Come on. Every member is a minister, remember? From the 90s. Yeah, if other volunteers at Mount Joy Gift and Thrift would like to stand or come up, either way, we'll be praying for everyone connected. Lord Jesus, we thank you for, again, just the opportunity to hear good news. We thank you for anointing these ladies to come here and preach good news to us today. We thank you for the many seeds that are being planted in our community and beyond. And we thank you for the many opportunities that we have to get involved in some way or another. We thank you for the way that you are prompting each person in this room and others who might listen in later and learn about these ministries later. We thank you for other people in the community who have surrounded and offered their support and resources. Thank you for the social network that's being created to help people right here in our community. Lord, we specifically lift up the Mount Joy Gift and Thrift Shop. We thank you for the way that Kathy and Lois provide such awesome leadership and such a wonderful environment there at the shop. We thank you for all the volunteers. We pray that you will draw more people who can just give a couple hours a week so that they will realize and become aware that you have provided above and beyond the need. Lord, we pray the same for Friends of Donegal, and we thank you for Andy and for Christina and the work that they're doing and starting something new. We thank you for the way that you've led them and guided them and provided resources for them. We thank you that we know that we are resourced by the source, and we thank you for providing for every need. We ask that you will continue to do that. We thank you that you will continue to do that. And so we commit these servants to your care and keeping, these ministries, all of the people being served. We thank you in your precious name, Jesus. Amen. So thank you all for coming. We're dismissed. I guess that's the thing to say.